Okay, looks like we're live now. Hello, everybody. I think you can all hear me now. I know there's a little bit of a delay on the startup. I really got to put like an intro title in the beginning of these live streams at some point soon, kind of like I did with the charity stream, just so it's not like looking at me as I stare awkwardly at the camera for about 15 seconds. Although I know some of you enjoy that. So, wow, okay, yeah, it's been, geez, I think it's been about 3 months since the last one. We had the charity stream, which was awesome. Thank you all who kind of pitched in or caught that or watched the stream. That was really awesome to do, and it was great to see it work out. This is the first time we've done a Q&A in a couple months, so yeah, let's get right to it. This is Q&A 23. Since we've had kind of a gap, there's a lot of interesting questions to answer and plenty of stuff to talk about. So let's just get right into it. Oh, and just a heads up for anybody that's new. I kind of do this before all the videos, but the Q&A live stream is just a chance for our fans to ask us questions about Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals, or now Super Dark Deception. I take questions from our VIP members from our YouTube channel, and then I take super chats for anyone that just wants to get their question answered directly by supporting us and donating. That's also fine. And then we randomly select questions from anyone that sent in questions to our email address at contact@glowstickentertainment.com. I do have to kind of warn you, any questions that revolve around release dates, I'm not going to be able to answer them. I know there's a lot of those. So I'm only going to be able to tell you you'll see or say, the usual it's coming or I'll let you know later. So just be warned, if you ask that, I'm not going to be able to give you an answer. So if you have a different question that you want to ask, that's probably the better one to roll with. Alrighty. So, well, without further ado, I'm going to start with our VIP members from the YouTube channel, and we're going to kick that off with DD West. So, DD West asks, can you tell us more about Darkstar and her level Prison Panic? Is she the main enemy or is she a boss? Who is going to be voicing her? So, well, yeah, I can tell you a little bit, within reason about Darkstar. Uh, she is, well, I can't spoil too much about her. But as far as her voice goes, we do have an actress that's we're kind of testing out right now, who may potentially voice her, and that is the one, that is Adriana Figueroa, who also does some of her song tracks. And we're trying to see if she can also work with us for the voice as well. If not, we have alternates. So we're still kind of testing out her voice. We haven't really finalized that yet. And once I have, I'll make an announcement. So that is kind of still in progress. Yes, of course, she's the enemy of the level. I'm not going to say who the boss is or how many other enemies are in the level. I would say she's not by herself. So she's not alone, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into Prison Panic. So I'm not going to give away too much of that, because that's probably the weirdest level in Chapter 5, and I want it to be a surprise. I know it's going to make some people curious as to what the thought process was going into that level, so save some of that for the release. Question number 2. Bendy17511. How's everything on the progress of Monsters and Mortals updates? What are some of the things that you can say? As far as the Monsters and Mortals updates goes, because we have a pretty big following for Monsters and Mortals, and I know they all want to know. So we recently did our final kind of test to fix that critical error from the August release on Epic Game Store, and it went well. So the game is, as far as we can tell, it's been fixed. And it has to go through the Epic FQA process, which is basically Epic tests it and test it to see if there's anything that we missed that they can find. They try to break it. So if that passes, then all of our fixes are legitimate, and it will be good to release on both Steam and Epic. Again, this is cross-play just like before, so anybody that buys it on Epic and buys it on Steam will be able to play with one another. Now, unfortunately, one of the questions that got brought up previously was cross saves. And unfortunately, with our setup in the game, cross saves do not work. And the only way we could make them work is to erase the save file for everyone and make everyone start the game over again from scratch. Now, naturally, my immediate gut feeling was is that would make all of our fans break out, the pitchforks and the torches and storm my house. So I don't want to erase players' data just to make it cross-save. So unfortunately, that's something we should have done from the beginning that we sadly didn't do. So it's a missed opportunity this time. But my overall vision for Monsters and Mortals is that it's going to be like something like Smash Brothers, where it has a final form. It's not just an ongoing service like Dead by Daylight. We want to have different versions of Monsters and Mortals that we will release. So we can always improve that with the next version of Monsters and Mortals. But this one does have save on the individual platforms. So if you go onto Epic and you want to play it there, you're going to have to start from scratch again. If you're on Steam, then your save file is fine. And as far as the DLCs, those are being integrated right now. As far as when of those are going to release, I will say very soon, assuming that they pass all of our testing. And as far as release dates, of course, I'm going to wait until we have something that's 100% finalized that has no chance of being changed or delayed. Because if I tell you something now and it delays, then you guys freak out at me. So I'm going to hold off until it's completely finalized. Question number 3 from Emily. Hi Vince, hope you are having a great day. This is just a question for fun. Is Malik aware that the Joyjoy Gang has rap songs, and what does he say about that? Well, I mean, they kind of have their posters for their rap songs hanging around Joyjoy Land in their offices. So, since he was even in one of the videos, nodding in approval, sitting in his chair, I'm going to assume he's okay with it. I think he kind of just leaves each of them to their own devices in their world, so long as they're doing his bidding. He's a guy who only cares about results. He doesn't care about the process or how you get there, only the results that you deliver. Question number 4 from Judinator. Hi Vince, I'm really enjoying all the Chapter 5 teasers so far, and I wanted to ask, what is Darkstar's personality like? From the small teaser, she may end up becoming one of my favorite designs in the game, so I was curious. Well, I can't really share too much about Darkstar's personality because it is a spoiler. But I will say it's very complex as to her personality. It's not something like the Reaper nurses or Lucky, where they have a very signature personality and they stick to that. Lucky is just a full-time psycho, and Reaper nurses portray themselves as caring and loving, but actuality they enjoy your pain. Agatha's a little bit similar, but they pretty much stick to that, and they don't really reveal anything deeper than that because they are a representation of that pain. So Darkstar is far more complex, and she does have layers. So that's the best I can tell you about her for now. And you will get to see that during the level. Question number 5 from Megamain. Hi events, I hope you're doing well. So I have 2 questions for you this time, both for Monsters and Mortals. 1, what are the requirements for a character to be immortal? Do they have to be human? And 2, I know that after House of Ashes you have the Coma, Piggy, and the Mystery AAA DLC, but I'm curious, have you reached out to any other license holders, or are you saving that for a different time? Oh, okay, well, let me take this with the first question first. As far as the requirements for a character to be immortal, do they have to be human? So I would say yes. For the mortal side, typically, most of the time, they have to be a mortal soul. So they have to have lived as a human in order to have a mortal soul. Question number 2. I know that after House of Ashes, you have the Coma, Piggy, and the Mystery AAA. Okay. So as far as, yeah, we do still have the Mystery AAA DLC, which, these things take a really long time. Negotiating for a AAA DLC usually can take between 7 and 11 months to finalize, so that's just how it is. So that's still in progress. As far as House of Ashes, the Coma, and Piggy, those are still coming. And as far as reaching out to other license holders, there are a few that I have contacted and tried to work out with, mostly indie. So there's a few popular indie developers, and I won't name them because I'm not gonna like call out our uh, communication or close the door on any of them because most of them just said not right now. It was kind of the same response from Scott Cawthon for FNAF and stuff like that. Or some of them just don't respond because they're very busy. That's just the way it goes. So until they specifically say no, never, they're not off the table. I have had a couple tell me no, never. So usually the indie ones are a little bit more complex to get them to the table than the AAA. AAA are a lot easier to work with, surprisingly. I understand that. Indie developers can be very, very protective of their IP, whereas companies just want to increase their revenue. So they're very willing to discuss things as long as you can prove you have the following and the numbers and everything they care about. So, yeah, let's see. Question number 6 from Ryguy LV. When will we be getting more music tracks uploaded on YouTube? I'm most curious about Level 10's tracks, but I'd also like to hear more of the Super Dark Deception and House of Ashes DLC tracks. Okay, so for anyone that wasn't here for a couple of the previous Q&A sessions, the reason we kind of paused on the music track uploads was because there was a unidentified user stealing them and re-uploading them using a label company. And we had to kind of work through that, and we've had most of that person or that company's tracks removed, and we've won all of our DMCAs against them. You know, they're impossible to identify because they're from. We've identified that they're either from Russia or China, so we can't really pursue any kind of legal option there. The best we can do is block them from uploading this stuff. So that's been kind of a hassle, and we didn't want to provide them with any more songs to steal and re-upload while we were dealing with them. But thankfully, now that we've kind of got YouTube on our side and we're gradually removing everything that they've put up, we can start to put up some Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception, House of Ashes tracks, stuff like that again. So you may see some more music uploads from us in the near future. Although we will still be a little bit reserved about tracks that may spoil the game. Some of the tracks do spoil the game, so we're not going to put some of those up. And question number 7 from Nifty SMB fan. Was the character E added to the story when the secret notes were added, or was she always going to have a role in the story and the notes were just extra bits added in the form of these notes? So yeah, E was always a character in the game, although she wasn't always named E. And she didn't really leave any notes. The notes are something that I added later on because I felt like we should foreshadow her presence and not just drop it on the player suddenly late in the game. So I felt like there was more to her and that we could give the player a little bit of a window into her journey as well without just, detracting from Doug's journey. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard anyway. I think you see that a lot in other indie games like Bendy with the tape recordings. It's just, at first I wasn't really sure of how big of a character E was going to be. I knew that she had a role, but it wasn't really a huge role in the beginning, and I kind of grew it, thus necessitating the notes. So yeah, there you go. Question number 8 from Hawkeye. It would be an understatement to say that your games, specifically Dark Deception, have been inspirational to a lot of people, spawning countless fan games. It's clear they've had a profound impact on the community for the better. When you set out to start your own studio, was this the goal, or did it just sort of happen as time went on as a result of your dedication and love put into your games by you and fellow devs? Well, one, thank you very much. That's very flattering, and I'm glad that you appreciate our work and the time that we put into it. Yeah, I guess when we started out, and I've talked on this to various degrees, is that we really didn't have any expectations for Dark Deception. It was a small game that we were just trying to put out on mobile as a quick test, and it kind of grew in popularity from there, and then we expanded the scale of the game and what it was and made it more complex to kind of satisfy our new user base. So yeah, we've had a lot of fun with Dark Deception, and for me, Dark Deception has become very much a passion project, which is why I'm putting everything I have into it. Nothing is being rushed or um, kind of half baked. Like everything is, uh, nothing is being left on the table for Chapter 5. So I think Chapter 5 is a great way to wrap it up and put everything into Dark Deception that I want to put into it at the moment. Later on down the road after we do a sequel or something like that, and maybe I have some more ideas that I wish I would have put into Dark Deception, then that's where like a remaster comes in, and or director's cut or something like that, where we can throw extra stuff in that we wish we would have had the time and money to do back then, which is now. But unless you want this game to take 5 years to release, we have to cut it off at some point and save some ideas for the future. We're really excited to get onto the Dark Deception sequel after this Chapter 5, so because it's going to be built in UE5, and we have tons of fresh ideas for that. So we don't want to stick around and stall things with Dark Deception too much. This is just one chapter or one segment of the trilogy, so we want to get through that whole trilogy. Let me see. But again, thank you. Question number 9, Crash. From Crash, out of all the Monsters and Mortals mods you have seen, which is your favorite so far? Also, why is there timer in friend play and not world play? Well, that's a valid question. Out of all the Monsters and Mortal mods I've seen, which one is my favorite? I think it would probably be the Five Nights at Freddy's one that I saw, just because it looked like, I believe that was by David Barron. I'm not sure. I have to refresh my memory. So if I said the wrong person, please forgive me. But that one, it's not that it's FNAF that makes it the best. It's that it looked like he put the most effort into it. So it looked the most polished out of the ones I've seen. Typically, a lot of them, because it's made by somebody who's starting out. A lot of people cut their teeth on modding as far as game development. He had a little bit more figured out than some of the other fan devs. But, that all comes with experience. So that doesn't detract anything from the other mods. It's just saying that one was simply the most polished and had the most work put into it. I also saw one of my other favorite mods was not for Monsters and Mortals, but for Dark Deception itself. Somebody made a third-person mod, which I thought was pretty awesome. Those are the two favorite mods so far. And as far as the friend play and world play, as far as the timer goes, that originally, and we are looking to change the timer in world play or friend play. The world play didn't have a timer because you can't play unless there's 6 people. Friend play you can play as long as you have at least 3 people. So we put a timer in there just to. I think it was a necessity of the server when we switched to AWS, because originally it didn't have that. It just had you push the host would press a button, and we're probably going to go back to that. It's just something we're still kind of working on right now at the moment. So that may not go out with the first update that has all the fixes and stuff in it, including the crash fix. But we're going to gradually work everything in now that we have the game to a state that we can actually start updating it. Because that was the big problem for a while with AWS, is that that error blocked us from updating the game, which is a big reason why we couldn't do it. So yeah, all right. Joyjoy Lucky, could we expect any character reworks or balance changes along with the upcoming update? So we're talking about Monsters and Mortals. Also, after House of Ashes, will you go back and finish the Chapter 4 content before Piggy and Coma? Yes, so there will be, I'm not going to say balance changes at this point, because that's not really our focus at the moment. We're purely focused on fixing bugs and issues. So mostly with the update is just going to be fixing that fatal bug and getting the crossplay out, which is something we've been promising for a while that never has been released to the public. So that's going to be a first, and fixing some of the existing issues. As far as balancing and character reworks, we're not going to rework any characters, but we can do balancing changes for some of them as far as the class systems. That will probably go out in a separate update, because something like that, just changing variables and data, doesn't take very long. It was just blocked by the previous issues. Chapter 4 content, yes, we are going to address that. Actually, we already have the Joyjoy Land map built. We just have to integrate basically the boss time and trap time into it and get that all functional, and then we can add Joyjoy Land to the game. So you can run around and have Joy Kill try to kill you. So, yeah, that would probably be the first one. Then we could look at like Torment Therapy and Barely Buried. But our first priority is to get the 3 DLC out. So that would come after the 3 DLCs are released. We will go back to the Chapter 4 Dark Deception content and update the base game. But we have to fulfill our partner obligations first. Question 11 from Unicat Ninjas. What character assets, etc. will go into the Piggy DLC, if any? Also, what will Mama Bear and Trigger Teddy's ultimates be, or involve? So, as far as what character assets, etc. go into the Piggy DLC, that's something I'm still discussing with the creator. We had some ideas, but we're probably going to go over those because that's been paused while we got the other DLCs out for House of Ashes, Poppy Playtime, and Yandere Simulator. So once those are out, we can kind of focus fully on Piggy DLC and kind of explore and refine that more. So we are, of course, it's not going to look like it does in Roblox. We're redesigning everything from scratch. It's going to look very different. It'll look familiar, but it's going to have a very mature look to it. So gone are going to be all the little blocky shapes and Lego looking characters. We're going to give them actual realistic looking character models and stuff. And then we're kind of deciding on what's the most iconic map in Piggy. So that was like another thing we were discussing with them. Or with him, the creator. And then Coma will be within kind of the same time frame. As far as Mama Bear and Trigger Teddy's ultimate moves, of course, Trigger Teddy's is going to be something involving an explosion. I think I kind of put down some preliminary ideas for their ultimate moves, but we haven't really fully developed them at all yet. But Trigger Teddy's will probably involve some kind of radial damage that will basically just damage anyone within the radius of his blast. Let's see. Question 12 from the Shadow Phoenix. Would there ever be a chance of a design a DLC of sorts event happening where the winning concept would become an actual DLC for Monsters and Mortals? Original concepts only, of course. I think it would be really neat to see something like that happen in the future. Also, I'm still rooting for Dead by Daylight's Dredge to join Monsters and Mortals down the line. Yeah, actually, I did announce kind of late in the year last year that we were going to do a mod competition for Monsters and Mortals. Now that we've updated Monsters and Mortals to Unreal Engine 5, we have to give the mod creators a little bit of time to explore how to work with Unreal Engine 5 and still be able to mod for Monsters and Mortals. But the idea of the mod competition was that whoever wins the top prize would actually become integrated with the game. So we will have a very specific theme and rules for that competition, but the idea is that we want them to create awesome content for Monsters and Mortals that improves the game for the fans. So if there's anything fans have ever wanted to be in the game that they feel like that we just didn't think of or we haven't addressed it yet, that this is kind of your chance to add that to the game and have us add it on our side. So that's something that I'll be kind of elaborating on more through Twitter and YouTube. As soon as we kind of hash that out a bit more, we're still kind of deciding on things like the prizes and the rules and what kind of themes that we're looking for. Obviously, we're not going to have like a mod competition where it's just like sticking yourself in as an OC. That's not what it's going to be about. It's going to be about something that really adds value to the game. So yeah, I'll get to that as soon as we get through what we're doing with Monsters and Mortals now, and we get through the Super Dark Deception demos, and get some of the Chapter 5 stuff off our plate. Then we will start to look at that mod competition for Monsters and Mortals. Let's see, 13 from Pro Gamer. Hey Vince, I hope you and the team are doing good. I really love the design of the level 10 enemy Darkstar. How did you come up with the design concept for her, and when did you come up with it? I'm trying to think of a way to explain how I came up with her that doesn't reveal too much about her. um, well, the design for her I came up with her shortly after Chapter 4 last year. So I worked on the Puppet King first, and then Darkstar. Surprisingly, Darkstar was the last character I worked on because I wasn't sure all the details about her at first. So I kind of worked on Puppet King first, and then I worked on everything involved with Malik's level because that is a massive level, and there are many characters in that level. So I kind of got to Darkstar last, and shoot, I can't even say that. I was going to tell you what my inspiration for her was, but that also gives away a very key detail about her, so I can't say that. um, I would say some people have speculated that she looks like a carnival or a circus, but I would say that's not really the theme with her. The theme with her is more akin to a performer or a game show host. So when you see her final design, when I do like a full reveal of her at some point, because I figure I've revealed all of Dark Deception's characters prior to release for all the other chapters. I don't want to. I can keep with that tradition for Chapter 5. So at some point I will show like a full reveal of Papa King and Darkstar. Probably it'll be the same way as I did with the other characters, like a voice reveal. So you can look forward to that in the coming months. As soon as I'm done, recording with all of them, we'll do a voice reveal for each character, and that'll be your chance to kind of see all of them or their entire design. All right, so now I'm gonna go. That's it for the VIP questions. Now I'm going to go over to the super chats, and let's see if we have any here that I can read questions for. Let me see. Oh, okay, we do have some. Gonna kick it off with Unicat Ninjas. Her first question, and she threw in $2. Actually, she's got two questions. Threw in 4. Thank you, Unicat, again. How do you make the minimap textures? Oh, okay. So I'm gonna assume you're talking about the map on the tablet. That's actually a camera projection. So if anybody ever does a boundary break of Dark Deception, you're gonna see two layers. You're gonna see a floating shard layer, and these are all planes. So it's a flat 2D image. You're gonna see basically a replication of the map, the map layout, and then the shards above it, and that's basically has its own camera, and that's what projects onto the tablet. So that's basically how we make the minimap textures. As far as your second question, Golden Malik plush win, Malik U2's figure. Actually, yeah, he's right over here. So I'm talking to Makeship about possibly Golden Malik being our next Makeship plushie. And I'm not exactly sure when we're going to put that out. Probably some point around maybe when the Super Dark Deception demos drop or in May. We'll put that out and see if people are interested in Golden Malik. Because we've gotten a lot of requests for Malik. And while we can't bring back the original one right now, we can definitely do Golden Malik. And as far as a Malik U2's figure, we are looking to do some new figures for the Chapter 5 launch. So one of the big ones was Joykill. And, of course, a Malik figure would be really awesome. So we have a couple partners for that. For the Joykill figure, we're looking to do like a really realistic one that's about 12 inches tall. So it's going to be like a really awesome Joykill figure. We're just kind of working with some of the suppliers now to choose the best one. And then for U2's, more than likely we'll do, Chapter 5 characters like Darkstar and Puppet King, but we'll probably throw in Malik as well. Okay, Sir Chicken Nugget threw in 5. Thank you, Sir Chicken Nugget. Let's see. Whoops, lost my place. Will you do other collabs with Roblox games like The Mimic and Rainbow Friends? Probably not. I mean, first we need to see how the Piggy DLC does. That's our first kind of Roblox game collaboration. And usually I will only kind of collaborate with games that I have seen have had like widespread acceptance on social media and various platforms that are kind of ubiquitous as far as like the horror indie horror scene goes. And Piggy had that, but I've never heard of Mimic and Rainbow Friends. I have heard of Doors. This is the new one I see everywhere, but I haven't heard of those two. Show Dupers through in 5. Thank you. Will Super Dark Deception get a revamped sound design to better fit a retro aesthetic? I hope we're not using high quality sounds and voices. It's odd silly. Well, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but no, we're not going to be making everything super retro. That's not really the point of Super Dark Deception. It's supposed to be a love letter to the Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1 era, like those kind of 16-bit games in general, but those were on several platforms in several console generations. So they weren't all like very bit crush sounds. That goes a little too far back. Most of the kids today were not alive, back then. So it's not like a true nostalgia. It's like they like the sound, but Castlevania Symphony of the Night, the sounds were not that bit crushed. It didn't have like super crunchy sound. And really, I'd prefer to have a blend. So that's what we're going to go with. So we're not going to be catering to the super retro crowd. The only thing that's going to be super retro is the music and the visuals, and that's pretty much it. Okay. Zian threw in 5. Thank you, Zian. Can Darkstar be considered a warden in her prison, and is her level an actual prison? As far as Prison Break goes, or Prison Panic, yes, it is an actual prison. And could you consider her a warden in her prison? Yes, you could. Autumn Azura threw in 2. Thank you, Autumn. Is Chapter 5 your main focus now? Yeah, I would say Chapter 5 right now is about 80% of our focus, with currently, well, I would say more like 75%, with 15% going to Super Dark Deception, and the other 10% now going to Monsters and Mortals and getting those out. But yeah, most of our work effort is going into Chapter 5 right now. Question, let's see. We've got 2 from Lemon Peppermint. Thank you. Is Doug's name Doug or Douglas? Just curious. His actual name is Doug, but Douglas is a nickname of Doug, and vice versa. So if you want to call him Douglas Hauser, go for it. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Thank you again. Were the double portals in Maze Escape added with your permission? You were convinced they were hacked, but they've been there in the while. They've been there a while in the game. Oh no. Yeah, to correct myself earlier, I was wrong. I forgot. At first, it'd been so long since I played the Monster map and Monsters and Mortals that I forgot that we had put a second portal in the Monster map. So that was not a hack. So apologies to the players in that map at the time. I thought that they were using a hack because I've seen some crazy hacks being used in Monsters and Mortals, but that one was just a slip of my memory, you know. So no worries. Let's see. Cozen likes nuggets through in 25 and okay. Thank you very much, Cozen. Will there ever be a Dark Deception movie or show? Well, I mean, it's possible. I think they're going after everything right now, but probably not until Dark Deception's finished. We have to finish the game first, and then, even then, it can take a while for things to finally, get their turn. So even a huge game like The Last of Us, I mean, it took how many years for them finally to get a TV show? Geez, I mean, that game came out originally on PS3, so that's more than a decade. And then I'm pretty sure they would butcher Dark Deception's story since it's already kind of out there story-wise and a little bit abstract. Like they might take too much creative freedom with it and make something really odd, like the first Super Mario Brothers level of odd. So we'll see when we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If they ever give us the opportunity to make a Dark Deception movie or show, then I might be for it, but I'd have to see the script first. Shark Fan threw in £5. Thank you, Shark Fan. Is the simultaneous launch of Dark Deception Chapter 5 on all platforms, PC and consoles, still going to happen? Yes. So as far as Dark Deception Chapter 5's launch on all platforms, the digital will launch simultaneously on PC, consoles, and mobile. So we're going to launch everything at the same time. Unfortunately, with physical, it looks like it's going to be a little bit too hard to time up physical with the digital release, simply because physical has a lot of extra steps that we have to go through, and it doesn't make sense to hold up the release of the game to time it with physical. It would cause you guys to have to wait possibly an additional 3 to 6 months. So we decided we're going to release the physical separate from the digital. So digital will come first. Same thing for Super Dark Deception. Let's see. Zia Nee threw in another 5. Can you share anything about Piggy DLC? Anything Mortal Trap, map, boss, monsters related? Any one of them is okay. Well, obviously Piggy's going to be in it as one of the monsters. There's really not anything I can share at the moment because we haven't developed anything. That one is kind of in the queue right now, waiting its turn. So we haven't created art for it. We haven't created anything for it yet. And we haven't really signed off with many for any of that stuff. So it's a little bit too soon to ask that question. Anything with the current 3 DLCs, I could answer your question, but Piggy's down the road. UBF13 threw in 5. Thank you, UBF. I know this is probably an obvious answer, but is Prison Panic a prison level? Yeah, and somebody beat you to it. So I did answer that. It is a prison level. But it's, kind of like the hospital and torment therapy. It's not what you would expect a prison to look like. Let's see. Pyragon Studio threw in £5. Thank you. Does Malik's voice change in his boss fight? I mean, it's the same. It's a little bit different, but it's the same. Malik is always Malik. Let's see. District D threw in 55 TRY. Sorry, I'm not familiar. Actually, he has 2 questions, and he threw in 110. Have you watched the animation YouTube series Murder Drones? I recommend you to watch it. Will there be DLC with them? Actually, no, I've never heard of Murder Drones. And if you recommend it, then I will definitely check it out, as I'm on YouTube a lot. And as far as there being any DLC with them, I'd have to explore first and see what it's about before I can make any kind of decision about whether they would be a good DLC or not. And your second question, will there be DLC with robot characters? Are there plans for animated spin-off series based on Dark Deception? As far as DLC with robot characters, I mean, right now, the only robot characters are the ones that are in the base game with the Joyjoy Gang. As far as DLC with robot characters, I mean, that all depends on the IP. So if there's any awesome horror series or IP out there that revolves around robots or animatronics, I try to get away from the animatronics and the mascots. I feel like that's a little bit too prevalent in the indie horror scene right now. So I'd really like to start pushing horror in a different direction than that, or it's just going to become all-consuming, and that's all indie horror is going to be, which is kind of a little bit narrow-minded because there's so many ways it can go. So if there's anything with robots, I'm going to look for really, really interesting robots that really add something different to the game. I haven't seen anything like that yet. So if you know anything, feel free to recommend it to me, and I'll take a look. But it has to be game-related. Remember, Monsters Immortals focuses on horror games, not horror films. That's Dead by Daylight's thing. And as far as the animated spin-off series, that kind of goes with the TV shows and film. Maybe. Got to finish the game first, and then, we'll wait and see if our turn ever comes. Zia Nee threw another 10. Thank you for your multiple contributions. Is it possible for us to get more complex personality characters like Darkstar in sequels Chapter 5? Most of current monsters are like pure evil without any sides or personalities. Yeah, I think with the chapter or with chapter 5, and you've probably seen that it started in chapter 4 and it's progressed into chapter 5 where it takes another step forward, is that I've started giving, you know, the Dark Deception enemies more layers to their personality. Whereas in the early beginning, they were almost treated like the ghosts from Pac Man and they were mindless. So Agatha was like the only one in the first two chapters, first three chapters that really had like a character or a personality to her, or any kind of, I guess like sentient or like individuality or personality. The rest were just mindless creatures that did Malik's bidding. So I mean, I could have made the entire game that way, and it still would have been fun. But I wanted to take Dark Deception in a more story-driven direction. So in order for that to work, it needs interesting characters, not just visually, but personality-wise as well. So in the Dark Deception sequel, they're all that way, and I'm going to go even deeper with them for that. And you'll understand that once you play Chapter 5. I think that's a sample of what the sequel is going to be as far as the characters and the enemies go. And I'll see how much you all like it once you actually play it. But as far as being pure evil, yeah, I mean, they are monsters born from mortal sins and from Malik's power. So that is essentially, you know, a tainted pool. It is evil. They are born from pure evil. So they're not going to ever be like nice or good guys or turn over a new leaf. They are what they are. Um, but you can see some layers within that. It's just not going to be like cut out cartoon evil. Every good has some evil in them, and every evil has a little bit of good in them, even if it never shows. Basically, you all heard that before. There's no pure evil and there's no pure good. SharkFan2 threw in another £5. Thank you again. Will Super Dark Deception be free when it fully releases? If not, how much will it cost? No, only the demo is free. The full game will cost money because we've spent a lot of money making it. We got to make it back. Um, as far as what the cost will be, some of that we control, some of that we don't. I think the price that's been discussed is either, I think we were looking at like the $15 price point for the game, but none of that's finalized yet. But it's not going to be like super expensive or anything. It'll be, you know, within the fair indie game price range, and it's going to be a very long game. So you are going to get a lot for your money. But as far as the final price, we haven't set that yet. And as far as the physical release goes, we don't control that. They kind of ask us for our input, but really the retailers set that price and the publishing company. Same thing for Dark Deception. All right, Vizian Raymond threw in 5. Thank you, Vizian. Hello, Mr. Vince. Hopefully your day is going good. Are there more DLCs planned after you get the other ones released for Monsters and Mortals? Yeah, so we still have our lineup of future DLCs. So right now we're going to be doing House of Ashes, Poppy Playtime, and Monsters or Yandere Simulator. Not in that order. That's just the bunch that's coming. And of course we have the CoryxKenshin character DLC, which is just giving you access to the CoryxKenshin character. So it's actually 4 DLCs. And then for the future, we have the base game updates for adding the Chapter 4 levels, and then eventually the Chapter 5 levels. And, the first Monsters and Mortals game is only going to have Dark Deception 1 maps. So after Chapter 1, or Dark Deception 1 is finished, that's going to be the cutoff for adding new content to the base game, as far as, like, Dark Deception characters go. So when we do a Dark Deception sequel, those are not going to go into this version of Monsters and Mortals. We'll probably release a new version of Monsters and Mortals in the future that'll be also built in UE5, but actually built for UE5. So compared to Smash Brothers eventually being Smash Brothers Ultimate, it's kind of like that. Or, every version of Mario Kart or Mario Party. We are really kind of looking at the Nintendo games as like a roadmap for Monsters and Mortals. But yeah, we still have the Coma DLC coming. We still have the Piggy DLC coming, and we have a couple others that we're talking to that as soon as those are finalized, will be added to the lineup. Some of them are, I think, really good, and will get you guys very excited when you hear it. But I'm not going to jinx myself by saying their name because that's when stuff falls apart, and then I have to like cancel it. So I'm not going to say anything. Say Unicat and Jess threw in another 5. Devious Mod is my favorite mod for Monsters and Mortals. Maybe I've seen that one and I just don't associate it with the name. But if that's your favorite, then I'll have to take a look at it and see what it's about. I haven't actually seen that many mods for Monsters and Mortals that were like, I guess what I think of a mod. I've seen a lot of like fan embellishments of the game, like oh they want to change the UI or they want to add a character of themselves into the game. I've seen mods like that, but I haven't seen anything like Resident Evil level where they go in and they just completely change the Resident Evil games on PC with their modding. So I think I would love to see Monsters and Mortals mod community get to that point where they're just injecting Monsters and Mortals with all this craziness that makes it more fun. But we'll see where it goes. Alex Smallwood threw in 7 Canadian. Thank you, Alex. Before Chapter 4, telepathy used to show the enemy's outline. Out of curiosity, why did you change it? That was a performance fix. So the outline was causing a performance hit. So we switched it to that, which is much cheaper and makes the game run faster. So that's why that was fixed, and we're probably going to leave it that way for the moment because we like our game to run fast. Autumn Azura threw in 2. Thank you, Autumn. Actually threw in 4. He, she. And there's 2 questions. So, first question. Is Puppet King more powerful than Mama Bear? As far as being more powerful, I wouldn't say he's more powerful. They are a specific group that they're in, and they are probably, in my mind, equally matched, but their tactics are kind of what set them apart. So I think he has more options for attacking than Mama Bear does. We'll put it that way. Darkstar and question number 2, Darkstar and the Blob, the last major characters, are sorry. Oh, I think he's saying, or this person's saying, are Darkstar and the Blob the last major characters? There's a lot of characters that I have not revealed to you all that will not be revealed publicly because it's too much of a spoiler. So if I show you anything, like if I show you any of the characters, it's because I've determined that showing you the image of that character doesn't spoil anything significant for the game. So even showing you Darkstar's image doesn't spoil her level or her character, because there's a lot to her that I am not showing you, and I will not show you. So just kind of bear that in mind. Anything I show has already been determined not to ruin the game for you. That's why I'm showing it. But as far as being the last major characters, no. Unicat and Jess threw in another 5. Thank you, Unicat. In Crazy Carnival's Soul Collection, the person with 0 shards, 1 to a bug, not do it to a hack. You thought it was a hack in Charity Stream. It's not. I'm actually not sure what you're talking about for that one. I don't recall. But if they won with 0 shards, that's likely a bug or a hack. I say that simply because, unless that's super prevalent, we haven't had that reported. That was the first time I saw it. But if it's a bug, if it hasn't popped up in any of our hundreds of playtests, and maybe it's fixed. We might have fixed it by... Sometimes when you fix one bug, it fixes another bug because they're connected. The one bug was causing the other bug. So we may have inadvertently fixed it already. Let's see. Pyro Shark threw in another 2. Will Joykill and the map get a size rework like Crazy Carnival? Yeah, so the size of Joyjoy Land has been reduced, obviously, to fit into the sizing for Monsters and Mortals map. If it's too big, it becomes unplayable. So we have to kind of do a reduced, miniaturized version of the Joyjoy Gang or Joyjoy Land map. And this is going to be Zone 1. So it will not be Zone 2 or 3. It's all the exterior Zone 1. Let's see. We got another one from Unicat Ingest through another 5. It says, also, bro, why do I keep getting killed by clown spadors when I'm in monsters when I'm a monster in Maze Escape? I'm really fumbling my words tonight. Such betrayal. Man, I thought we was on the same team. I think you're talking about. Is this on Crazy Carnival? Oh, you're talking about this clown spiders. I was like, that's a typo. It's like spadors. Yeah, they don't respect anyone. They're terrible. I've been killed by them a few times. Autumn Azura threw in another 2. Prison Panic's OSTs. Oh, it's like a statement, not a question. And hold on. YouTube just did the jump, so I gotta find it again. Whoa, that's a big jump. Okay, I'm back. Well, it jumped me down like 3 pages. Okay. Uh, are you asking, are we going to put up Prison Panic OSTs? Probably some of them I will. The others I can't because they spoil the level. Because they have vocals. So I will say that Prison Panic's level is very heavy on um, songs with vocals. So it's not going to be as much in line with the other Dark Deception levels where they are all just like ambient music. These ones will actually have Adriana singing in them. Let's see, Shark Fan 2 threw in another £5. Thank you again for your multiple contributions. For the Monsters and Mortals Coma DLC, are the Mortals Mina Park and Yasol, and are the monsters Dark Song and Flesh Thrall? Yeah, so Mina Park and Yasal are the mortals, and Dark Song and Flesh Thrall are going to be the monsters. Jaded Rebel threw in 2. Thank you, Jaded Rebel. Big fan, man. How do you come up with each entity? I'm assuming you're talking about Dark Deception, but as far as coming up with the monsters goes, that usually revolves around whatever the theme of the level is going to be, which typically revolves around whatever aspect of Doug's life it's exploring, like whatever sin he's committed or um, a sin of humanity that relates to him. So that's usually kind of like the foundation of designing one of the characters. Is first I have to determine what they're about, like what is the essence of their character, what is the you know that really determines their look as far as what characteristics make them up and which sin they're related to or which mortal flaw they're related to. My Vision threw in €20. Thank you, My Vision. Hi, Vince. Hope you're okay. Does the Darkstar... Whoops. Is Darkstar... Sorry, I gotta sort this question out. It's written a little weird. I think he's saying, will Darkstar be present in the Blob monster? No. Darkstar herself is not present in the Blob monster. So, I know some of you saw, like, the star on the TV. That is related to Darkstar. Let's see. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 2. Why does Monsters and Mortals Vince run like that? Maybe because he's a fan of Naruto. I don't know. It's something like a ninja runs. Actually, with the Vince character, I didn't animate that character. It was done by one of our animators, and he thought that was funny, so I just stuck with it. Tabub45 threw in 2. Thank you, Tabub. Will Kissy Missy speak in the Poppy Playtime DLC? We haven't worked out the voice or the sound effects with with Mob Entertainment yet for them. So we're still doing kind of finalizing the audio on Poppy Playtime for the characters, but probably we're not going to use a voice actor for them. We're just kind of using the existing sounds that they sent us. Joyjoy Lucky threw in £2. Could we expect the Yandere Simulator showcase very soon? Yeah, I think you could. That's reasonable. I don't know how long it's going to take us to put that together. Usually it takes a week or two to kind of get that all together. I think we've had Omar Sabali helping us with kind of hosting those showcases and doing the editing. But of course, I have to kind of check with him and his schedule and see if that still works. So, yeah, but I think probably at some point in April, we're going to have that out, at least for Yandere Simulator. Autumn Azura threw in another 2. Thank you again. What is the size of Puppet King? Big or small? He's very tall. I can't really compare him to other characters right now, but yeah, he's a taller character. And I think some of you have already kind of guessed his head shape, so that definitely adds to the height. Zian Ni threw in another $5. Thank you. Can you confirm that Darkstar is not any female characters that we've known before? Also, do you worry she will be called waifu by fandom? I mean, at this point, if they're not calling the Reaper nurses waifu, I'm not too worried about it. As far as, is she not any female character we have known before? No, Darkstar is her own character, so she is not any female character that you've known before. Pro Gamer threw in €2. Thank you, Pro Gamer. Hey, Vince, do you have any updates on the books? Yeah, that's actually a good question. So we have the books fully completed. The only thing that's still needs to be done with them is just the illustrations. So of course we have to do the cover illustration, and we have to do some illustrations for inside the book, just because I like to have a couple little illustrations in the book. It adds a lot to it. I like to see something and see if it matches up to what I've been imagining. So, and then as far as the actual release of the book, we're timing that with the release of Chapter 5. So we're kind of looking for the right book publisher for that to work with. So it's really just some business side stuff related, or that we're still kind of working through. The art stuff won't take that long to do, so I'm not really worried about that. But yeah, we are going to try to release that with the release of Chapter 5, so that we can just make it a bigger Dark Deception event. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 2. Will the roof be accessible in the Yandere Simulator map? So yes, I've had some people wondering that, and I've never officially answered it, at least not that I recall, is that you will be able to go on top of the roof and run around and fight each other on the roof. So yeah, the Yandere Simulator School, I believe, has, let's see, how many floors is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 floors total. So there's 3 floors inside the school, and then the rooftop. And the cool thing about the Yandere Simulator map is very much like the monster map in the fact that you can fight each other on multiple levels, and you can jump off. So you're not stuck on the roof and have to like run your way back down the inside of the school. You can actually jump off the roof and escape that way if you find yourself in a pickle and need to get out fast. So that kind of keeps everything moving very fluidly, and there's always an escape path available if you can get to it. Let's see. Alp threw in 2001. Thank you, Alp. When will enemy voice reveal video be uploaded? As far as the Chapter 5 enemy voice reveals, I think that's once we finalized all the voice recordings, which we're still kind of working through due to a lot of script rewrites and just working with the actor's schedule. So once I have kind of finalized lines and I've kind of determined which lines are not too spoilery, then I'll do a voice reveal, which will also be kind of a character reveal, because I'll show off more of the characters' bodies. So you'll get to see like the full Puppet King and the full Darkstar. Autumn Azura threw another 5. Thank you again. Is the Blob a hive mind, or is it just eating the monsters in the image of the Blob? Well, I can't really acknowledge anything about it. It will make sense later. And I will say No, I can't even say that. That's a spoiler. Ah, shoot. What can I say about that? Well, everyone's calling it the Blob right now, and that is an accurate name for it based on the physical appearance alone. But that thing, that creature, does actually have a name in the game and is a character in the game. So I can't reveal if it's a hive mind or um, tell too much about its powers or its behavior. But yeah, sorry, I'm trying to think of anything I could share. It's just like stop signs at everything I think of. So I'm sorry. I gotta give this one a you'll see for when Chapter 5 releases. Vander threw in two reals. Thank you, Vander. Can Fendevs get a private channel on GE Discord? Um, no, I mean, as far as the GE Discord goes, except for VIP, I keep everything public and open for everyone. So I think the best way to do with that is to create a special role for a FanDev channel that maybe allows those FanDevs to do something that the just normal participants can't. Maybe like opening threads or something like that. You could have like, but in general, like I don't want to create like this private community within the community, um, especially for like a public channel. Let's see, Pyragon Studio threw in £2. Any chance of Dark Deception being in Project Playtime? Um, yeah, I think so. I mean, we're already working with Mob Entertainment. They're cool guys. I think somebody said they expressed interest in adding Dark Deception, so I'll probably discuss that with them at some point. If they still want to do it, I'm definitely down for it. I think Project Playtime's cool. That's really their call. They're the ones who do the DLC for that or whatever they have in mind. I think what they do is kind of similar to Fall Guys in that they create, or Smash Brothers. They just create like a costume, like an outfit that their base avatar can wear. So yeah, I mean that'd be really cool to see one of their characters running around with like a monkey, murder monkey hat on or something, or a Malik mask. So yeah, if they want to do something like that, I'm all for it. Jaded, see Jaded Rebel threw in two again. Thank you for your multiple contributions. Would you ever consider a Doors collab? Um, I guess I have to see what kind of longevity Doors has. So something like Piggy, even though it's polarizing, there's a lot of people that love it and there's a lot of people who don't love it. It had legs. It lasted for years and it's always been part of the landscape. Whereas Doors is pretty new and it's off to a great start, but I have to see how long it lasts. Will people still love this game in a year or two, or will it kind of fade out quickly? So I think if Doors sticks around and earns its place, um, in the indie horror quilt or lexicon, then definitely I would consider discussing a collab with them if that's something they even want to do. Ultimately, that's their choice. So I can show them the door; they have to open it. Unicat Ninja S threw in another 5. Can you rebalance Mascot Mayhem and Barely Buried eventually, at least for hard mode? Please. Ah. Balancing is a funny thing. There was a study done on balancing, on what people think gamers and fans see as fair balancing, and it was determined that fair balancing, according to gamers and fans, is when they can win 70% of the time. They consider that as being fairly balanced. So, as far as Mascot Mayhem and Barely Buried, we're going to focus on fixes mostly, like patching any kind of remaining bugs or things like that. And we've already patched a lot in Chapter 4. It's just never been released publicly because, people rip the game and we don't want them ripping Chapter 5 assets. There's no way for us to separate that. Um, so yeah, when Chapter 5 goes out, you're going to get a ton of fixes with it as well. And that'll be finally the final polished version of Dark Deception. And as a result, hopefully this will be the first smooth launch for a chapter or a Dark Deception chapter launch. We'll see. Let's see. Unicat Ninjas. Oh, sorry, you had two questions. Didn't see the second one. Another 5. Thank you again. Are Mortal Puppets and Death Follows chase themes or boss themes? If they're chase themes, what zones? Okay, Mortal Puppets and Death Follows are from Chapter 5's ninth level, the Mall. So those are both, I believe, chase themes. Or, sorry, Mortal Puppets is a chase theme. Trying to remember. I'm not confusing them, am I? Death Follows. I know one of them, I have to listen to them again. I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure, or 95% sure, Mortal Puppets is the chase theme, and Death Follows is the Zone 3 theme for the chase theme of Zone 3, but I have to kind of refresh my memory because I haven't listened to those tracks in a while. I'm afraid I'm getting their names mixed up. Automazur threw in another 5. Thank you again. Mall name. You already revealed the prison name. Can we get the mall name, please? I guess I could. I don't see why not. So, are you ready for it? Do I need to do like a drum roll? I don't have any drumsticks, sorry. So the name of the mall level is going to be Holiday Horror. So that is the name of the Chapter 5 mall level. So you have Holiday Horror, and then you have Prison Panic. So there you go. I've given you 2 level names. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Thank you. Are the red mannequins frenzy versions of the white ones? Are the 2 separate mannequin types? They are 2 separate mannequin types. Yoshi threw in Hong Kong 10. Thank you, Yoshi. Hi, Vince. Anything you can reveal about the Blob? I wish there was. It's a blob. I mean, I've already kind of shown that. I wish I could say more, but I'm really kind of boxed in. There's literally nothing I can say about that character that doesn't spoil it in some way or reveal too much. It's just I can't say it's not in the mall. I'll say that much about it. That's not a spoiler. Is that creature, that character is not in level 9. I can't say which other levels it's in, but it's not in level 9. Let's see. Loaf of Bray threw in 5. Thank you. Will there be any zones in Chapter 5 that are as small as Monsters and Mortals Zone 3, or sorry, Mascot Mayhem Zone 3 or Barely Buried Zone 1? Small zones. Well, with Barely Buried Zone 1 was the cabin, which was smaller. Zone 3, it's small if you only count the maze. And you disregard the entrance and the boss fight arena. So as far as that goes, just thinking, not gameplay zones, no, they're all pretty big. Maybe, I'm thinking if Malik's level has one kind of like that. No, they're all fairly big. Anything that's small or not huge is a hub area or kind of static story area. It's not really the maze gameplay area. Okay, Box and the Jack threw in 7 Canadian. Thank you, Box. While characters like Penny and the Reaper Nurses get more kill... Okay, not while. Will. Will characters like Penny and the Reaper Nurse get more kill animations in the future? A future update, perhaps? That would probably be one of the things that I mentioned earlier about saving for the future. So stuff like that we wish we could do. I agree with you. I think after, playing Dark Deception now and working on Chapter 5, I wish I could go back and add more kill animations to every character as well as a bunch of other stuff. So the only opportunity, it's too late to go back and do that now. We need to finish the game. So the only opportunity I would really have to do something like that would be a future DLC. So, I mean, if we made some DLC in the future for Dark Deception, that could be literally anything, like character skins or a side story with Doug's family or something, we might be able to like pack that in with it and make it part of that DLC. Um, or we save it for like a remaster. So someday when we're on PlayStation 6 or 7 or whatever, probably PlayStation 6, you know, 5 years from now or whatever, then we want to do like some big director's cut ultimate edition of remaster of Super Dark Deception or Dark Deception in Unreal Engine 5. Then that would be a time we can add like all that super new content into it. Kind of like if you ever played Persona 5, like years later they did Persona 5 Royale. It would be kind of like that. Alright. Autumn Azure threw in another two. Pupper King after you, besides Malik, who protects. Pupper King after... Sorry, I'm trying to decipher this. No hate. I'm just trying to figure this one out. So besides... Pupper King after you, besides Malik, who protects. Sorry, I gotta wave the white flag on this one. I'm not really sure what you're asking. I think you're asking, besides Puppet King and Malik, or anyone else, is anyone else after you? Um, of course, the mannequins. The red mannequins, the red stalkers are there. So I can't really reveal too much about who else is in the level besides those. But yeah, Malik is present throughout all of Chapter 5, so you can always, just assume he's a given. Unicat Ingest through another 5. Will mannequins and the food mall court stuff food into your mouth to death? Or will they stuff food into your mouth to make you die? That would be funny, but no, they are much more brutal than that. Although there is a little bit of fun with them, and there is a food court. So, not quite what you described, but there will be something fun to be experienced there. Let's see, Lucas Marrero threw in 10. Thank you, Lucas. Hi, Vince. Chapter 4 question. When you walk into Mama Bear's room, you see her outfits hung on the wall. Why does she wear a bear costume? And will we ever see her true form? Well, the bear costume is part of her Mama Bear identity, so that's why she wears it. And as far as her true form, that was something I consciously made a choice on with Chapter 4, was not to reveal her form and to leave it to the player's imagination. I could have easily just, cranked out some monstrous form for her, and I may still reveal that in a future Dark Deception game. But for the moment, I wanted to leave it as something that Doug never really gets to see. So there's still questions about Mama Bear. There's still things we can learn about her. And in case she ever appears in the Dark Deception sequel or one of the other games, that leaves me some room to still kind of reveal things about her. So I wouldn't say that's a dead end or that'll never be answered. It's just not going to be answered in this first Dark Deception game. Also, it says that's your first Super Chat ever, so thank you for making your first contribution. Vizian Raymond threw in 5. Again, thank you, Vizian. Hey, Mr. Vince, how's the CoryxKenshin DLC going for Monsters and Mortals? Can you say anything about it? That one is fully done. So we've also recorded with Cory. We have all his voice lines and everything. So we just need to kind of package and finalize that and get Cory to kind of sign off on it and do his thing. And it's good to go. So that one's kind of been sitting blocked for a while because we couldn't update his character into the game because of the bugs and issues. So now that that's fixed, we can add him in. That one's actually a pretty easy addition. That shouldn't take too long. Unicat Ingest threw in 10. Thank you again. Puppet King rap. Idea. Yo-yo, I'm Puppet King of the Hood. Yo-yo, don't mess with me. Mannequins. Yeah, I love mannequins. I'm the king of them. Don't mess with me. I'm a bad king with a string. Yo. You want to do the rap? You should just write me a whole Puppet King rap, and then, drop some bars and give me a sample, and we'll see if it works. Could have a Puppet King rap. I think all the Joyjoy Gang raps did really well, so we've always kind of wanted to do more rap tracks, but, time, and we have a lot on our plate right now, so we didn't really get to do it. But we're talking with some other channels that do their own rap music stuff, like working with Rocket Gaming again, and we're going to create some really cool rap tracks for Chapter Five's release. So don't worry, there's more of that coming soon. Shosho Dupers threw in another two. Have you ever thought of doing a dinosaur theme? As far as like a level for Dark Deception or Monsters and Mortals? Uh, no, we haven't really thought of that unless for some reason Capcom, wants to let me use Dino Crisis. That would be awesome. I don't know how many of you know Dino Crisis, but that's like a classic that's been ignored by them for too long. So if I could ever get Dino Crisis licensed, then I would definitely make a dinosaur themed map for Monsters and Mortals, not for Dark Deception. Let's see, My Vision threw in another 10 euros. Thank you. Did you know that a fan game of Dark Deception was made and the creator used the Prison Panic name for its game? Yes, I actually know that, and I talked with that creator, and he voluntarily changed the name in advance, so I was very appreciative of that, because typically we try not to let any fan games remain with the same name because it will create confusion. But that was not his fault. He just made a really good guess. I mean, there's only, I think, before I told everyone that I don't reuse the same alliterations for level names, I think that one made sense. So it's not surprising that somebody was able to guess it. But I did hear a lot of other guesses that were wrong and didn't really go in that direction. So I guess it wasn't as obvious as it seemed. Um, but yeah, I've seen his game too. It's pretty fun and cool. So if you, I forget what he renamed it to. Was it something penitentiary? I don't remember. But I think if you can find it, and I believe it's on Game Jolt, go check it out and give it a try. It's a good game, and he put a lot of effort into it. Automazur has $2 thrown in again. Thank you. When will more teasers come? Fairly soon. I mean, my priority for the rest of March and April is Monsters and Mortals and the Super Dark Deception demos, which are coming in April, assuming, nothing goes wrong on the approval side. So we've already submitted Super Dark Deception to all of the first-party platform holders like Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo. We're just kind of waiting for them to approve everything. So it's a waiting game right now. So those will all release on the same day. That's going to be really fun. It's going to be like a Dark Deception demo day. So people can finally play, Chapter 1 on consoles with a controller and play Super Dark Deception on literally everything. And it will have it's the extended demo, so they'll also get to play, the Elementary Evil level finally and use the powers. And it has a boss fight, so that'll be cool. And then Monsters and Mortals, we're finally going to get those 3 DLCs out. So a lot of cool stuff coming, but that's my focus. And then as far as Chapter 5 teasers go, I just kind of take that as I go. So as soon as I have something that I think is not going to spoil the chapter, but it's cool and I want to share it, I'll throw that up. And usually I throw it up on Twitter and then YouTube, or occasionally Instagram. Shark Fan 2 threw another £10. Thank you. Said one of the Halloween announcements last year was that a physical edition of Dark Deception for PS4, PS5, and Switch would happen Q3 this year. Is that still looking like a possibility? Yeah, I mean, well, as far as the physical goes, I think that could even be slide to Q4. It really depends on the process and retailers. That's really out of my hands as far as like when the physical edition goes out, not the digital, the physical. So we have to kind of go through a lot of process and steps with the retail outlets like Walmart and Target and GameStop and stuff like that, as well as getting approval for like the physical print of the discs and the cartridges and stuff. So there's just a lot of extra steps with that, and it takes time. So I think I would like to say Q3 is a possibility this year, but Q4 is also realistic. But we'll see how it goes. It could even be Q1 of 2024 for the physical release. So I don't want to put anything out there right now because it's really unknown. But but there's definitely going to be a physical edition of Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception. It's going to be awesome. So as soon as I have like a firm date for that, I'll share that. Let's see. Autumn Azura threw in another 5. Considering you mentioned how the mannequins are basically inanimate puppets, can Primal Fear stun... Oh, can Primal Fear still logically stun them? Yeah. So Primal Fear will still work on the mannequins. Tabub45 threw in 2. Thank you, Tabub. Again, will any Chapter 5 music tracks have lyrics vocals? Yeah, we actually have several. So this will be the first chapter to have several songs that have lyrics and vocals in them. So it won't just be all ambient background music. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Thank you again. Can Joyjoy Gang be in Farmpocalypse because they're farm animals? No. Well, Farmpocalypse is still shelved and on pause until we finish everything, and then we're going to kind of reevaluate it and see if it's still a fit for us. But the idea is that we will still finish it, although we may kind of redo it. And as far as Joyjoy Gang and Dark Deception characters being in it, I think we originally intended that, and we made Dark Deception characters for that game. It was like a murder monkey was in it, but that was the only one. But that makes sense. I mean, I love crossovers. Pyro Shark threw in another 2. Will there be a Dark Deception fan game DLC for Monsters and Mortals? Not at the moment, no. The only thing I've mentioned is the mod competition. So will there be a Dark Deception fan mod for Monsters and Mortals? Yes, once we run that contest. YouTube, you should jump again. Sorry, 1 second. Oh. Okay, I'm back. Autumn Azura threw in another 5. Thank you, Autumn. Will we see Puppet King and Darkstar outside their boss fights? It would be cool if Puppet King chased you through the hallways. That's a you'll see response. I can't spoil anything about how Puppet King and Darkstar behave in their level or what they do. So when Chapter 5 comes out, you'll see everything. But for now, I gotta keep that on the lowdown. ShadowX Acno threw in 20. Wow, thank you. How does the remaining chapters of 1 to 4 run on the Steam Deck? I noticed how some levels, especially the Deadly Decadence level, the frame rates drop straight to 14 frames per second, while the Murder Monkey level runs just fine. Actually, you are not the only one to notice that. We noticed it as well. So, which helped us discover a performance issue inside of Deadly Decadence that we had previously been unaware of because we were using beastly computers to test on. So the reason that Deadly Decadence, especially the exterior, was suffering a performance issue is that a rig was being used with the statues that wasn't even necessary, and it had a massive number of bones on it, and somehow that was overlooked, which was creating a huge performance hit in the level. So we went and removed all of that, and now the level runs very fast. So we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with an oversight, and we fixed that oversight. But it was actually the Steam Deck that brought it to our attention, because it was only that level that was running slow, and it was driving us crazy, and we wanted to figure out why, and that kind of revealed itself to us. So don't worry, that's been fixed. We got a couple donations we got one donation from Paragon Studio for £5, but the message was retracted. So thank you very much for that donation and your support. Autumn Azura threw another 2. Is the Blob mindless like the movie? That creature, I wouldn't call it mindless, but it's close. But you'll see. And then another 2 donation from Autumn Azura, but the message was retracted, so thank you for that donation. I appreciate it. District D threw in TRY55. Have you watched the animations made by Liam Vickers? Are you planning a collaboration with him? Will there be a new story writer for the Dark Deception sequel? As far as Liam Vickers, no, I haven't watched it, so there's no current collaboration planned for anything with that. As far as a new story writer for the Dark Deception sequel, currently I've written all the story myself. Probably going to expand the writing team just because the Dark Deception sequel is much more massive and goes a lot more deeper. So I kind of need some help with writing some of the lore bits. So we're going to bring in some of these writers that we've kind of admired for a while that write books and stuff already to kind of assist with that process. So yeah, the writing team is expanding. I can't do this by myself forever. Zian Ni through another 2. Thank you. What is Dark Deception, or sorry, what is Darkstar's weapon? I can't really reveal Darkstar's weapon as that's a spoiler. But once again, you'll see when Chapter 5 comes out. But I appreciate the donation. Thank you. Puppet King 69 threw in $2. Thank you. Will we get a Chapter 5 track soon? Yeah, I think probably maybe before the end of March or early April, I'll probably share another track. So you won't have to wait too long. Autumn Azura threw in another 2. Wow, multiple contributions today. Thank you, Autumn. Darkstar's quote set me free. Is she a prisoner? That's another you'll see question, unfortunately. I wish I could give you a better answer than that, but these ones I just have to give you that. That's all I can give at the moment. Alp threw another 5,001. Thank you, Alp. When TT is over, when Torment Therapy is over, Beer says 3 ring pieces left. It is said that there are 2 ring pieces left after Barely Buried. Then one portal originally did not exist. Oh no, if you look at that, it won't make sense and it won't add up, but there's a reason for that, and you'll see that in Chapter 5. So that question will be addressed. Let's see, EBF 13 threw in 5. I missed if you revealed the mall level name or not. What is the name? I'll repeat it again for anyone that missed it previously in the stream, because this is very long. Well, we're over 2 hours already. Is that? Yep, 2 hours. So, the name of the level is Holiday Horror. Autumn Azure through another 2. What is your favorite trap in the game? Well, as far as the entire game goes, my favorite trap... I don't think I've ever, picked a favorite trap. I don't know. I mean, I still kind of like the classic stuff. I never get tired of spike traps. So I still like the Deadly Decadence spear trap, even though that's pretty basic. It's probably not the exciting answer you wanted, but I just like those old school trap designs. So, and we have a spike trap in the sewer, but I just like the spear trap from Deadly Decadence. I think I also like the audio for it, just the sound of it constantly doing that metallic cha-chink. That kind of makes it memorable for me. Lucas Marrero threw in another 2. Thank you again. Will we see the deal Malik gave us in Chapter 4 in Chapter 5 as well? Yes, Malik will kind of readdress that deal, or his offer that you never accepted, in Chapter 5. Another from Autumn Azure. Will the posters and merch be updated with Chapter 5? Posters and merch. Oh, are you talking about for the Teespring store? I mean, we'll probably put out some new stuff related to Chapter 5, yes. I think we'll leave what's there, especially the ones that are kind of bestsellers. We'll leave them up as kind of, forever items. But we're going to put in some Chapter 5 related items as well. So yeah, there will be some new designs and stuff coming for that. Let's see. CMS Productions threw in 2. Thank you. Hey, Vince. Have you ever read any DD fanfiction? Not yet. I haven't seen any DD fanfiction. I think I did read one in the Discord channel from one of our VIP fans. But I haven't seen, anything on Reddit or, posted officially anywhere that's, a longer read. It was, a short paragraph, so it's not like what you typically expect with fanfiction. Paragon Studio threw in £2. Thank you, Paragon, again. Is there a mystery DLC for Monsters and Mortals right now? Yeah, there's 2 mystery DLC. Neither one are finalized or fully approved yet, so I can't announce them. Plus, I'm under a confidentiality agreement, so I'm not allowed to talk about it. But as soon as I am allowed to talk about it, and it's actually happening, then I will share that. That's why, for now, mystery DLC means something that may or may not happen. It's being negotiated. Oh, YouTube did its little jump again. Hold on. Okay. Automazura threw in another 4 and has 2 questions. Can you kill mannequins? Do they move despite damage? No, you cannot kill mannequins. Let's see. Second question. How mad will Malik be that you got past Mama Bear? Um, he's very mad. And he will actually kind of allude to that in Chapter 5. You'll see where and what he says, but that does not go past him. That you escaped in an inescapable situation. Let's see, Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. When is the boss theme for the mannequin level coming out, if it hasn't already? I don't think I've posted the mannequin boss theme yet, simply because that was around the time we started having the issue with the music thief. So, if that's not out yet, then we'll get to it eventually. I'm not sure if that'll be the next track I put up, but, we'll share it eventually. Or we may just drop the entire... Well, I don't know if we can do that. Because I know we dropped chapters 1, 2, and 3 and chapter 4's album prior to the game actually releasing. So we put up the album for sale on on iTunes and all the music markets like Spotify prior to the game releasing. So we were thinking about doing that again. I just have to evaluate the entire chapter 5 soundtrack and see how many songs are spoilers and if that would ruin the game by doing that. So I'll kind of decide that fairly soon. Alp threw in another 2001. Thank you, Alp, for your 3 contributions. Is White Mannequin's name still White Mannequin? Yeah, so those ones don't really have an official name. They're just called White Mannequins at this point. They're not like the Red Stalkers. Let's see. Automazura threw in another 2. I've lost count of your contributions, but thank you for so many. Is Darkstar dangerous herself or a clever warden? Yes, Darkstar is very dangerous. I can't say why, but I will just say, yeah. Let's see, Zia Nee threw in 5, but retracted the message, but thank you for the donation. Judanator threw in 2. Will there be a box set with both Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception? Actually, yes, there will. So, this is kind of early days, early discussions, but we are doing the physical release. We want to have an ultimate box set that's going to be a really awesome box set. And we haven't really finalized all these details yet, so take everything I say with a grain of salt and don't get mad if things change. But the box set that we've been discussing is to do a ultimate box set that has basically these headphones in it, a giant Joykill statue, and a bunch of other things, including the physical release of Dark Deception and a digital code for Super Dark Deception. We're also even considering putting the physical for Super Dark Deception and Dark Deception in the same box. So these are all early days discussions, but we're trying to make the box set as awesome as possible and make it really have like a high value. So we don't want to give out you buy a lot of box sets, they're full of this cheap crap, like cheap garbage that you can tell like they made for nothing and they charge you a lot of money for it. Like we don't want to do that. Like we want everything in the box to be high value and high quality. So it's not going to be a cheap box set if you buy the ultimate. So that's what we're kind of discussing right now. And yeah, putting both of the games in one box was a discussion. Automazur threw in another 2. What is the importance of the Santa statue? Is it a trap? No, the Santa statue is just mall decoration for the mall. At this point. That's all I can say about that. SharkFan2 threw in £10. Thank you again. If Dark Deception can only have SAG voice actors, then how did Jocelyn's voice get into the game? The automated voice we hear in Zone 2 of Mascot Mayhem. That's a good question. So, I don't know how many of you are familiar with SAG union rules, but on the chance that, Dark Deception has been a SAG union game since the beginning. So, it was made a SAG game very, very early on. But Not every actor has to be a SAG actor to be able to be included in the game. You are allowed to use non-union actors if they live outside the United States. The SAG only has jurisdiction over the United States. So if the voice actor lives in Australia, you can use them and they don't have to be a SAG union member. If the voice actor lives in the US and is not a SAG card-carrying SAG member, they can still be used, but we have to file what is called a Taft-Hartley for them to allow their voice to be used. And you can only use that one time. After that, they have to become a SAG member to continue being in SAG games. So there you go. There's a little bit of boring background on the business of voice actor unions in the US. In case any of you are an aspiring voice actor hoping to voice a character in a game like Dark Deception that is a SAG project, by putting your voice in with the Taft-Hartley, you are now eligible to become a SAG card member. Because in order to become a SAG member, you have to voice act in a SAG project. So it's kind of weird how they've set that up and how that works, but yeah, that's how it works. Zia Nee threw in 5. Another 5. Thank you again. Just a funny question. Puppet King, Darkstar, Lucky, Mama Bear get into a fight. Who will win? That is very difficult to call. And there's a reason why. They are not the usual rank and file minions for Malik. That'll be explained a little bit more in Chapter 5, but I think they're all capable of winning. So it's a little bit too hard to predict. Lucky, maybe, because he would cheat a lot. But I don't even know if that would be enough to easily make him the victor. Probably, I feel like, well, it's hard to say. Mama Bear, Puppet King, and Darkstar have kind of similar abilities. So we'll see. I would love to create like a sandbox simulator and just throw them at each other with their powers and see which one the computer thinks will win later on. I've seen them doing that with the chapter 1 through 4 characters. Let's see. Judah, no. Nope. Unicat Ninjas threw in 5. Thank you, Unicat. Okay, Vince, I'm going to walk you through this. Ahuha, aha, boogaloo, galoo. Boogaloo galoo. Look at me, I'm a scary. The baked saying. I'm having a hard time here. It's like 2:30 a.m. and I'm trying to read this. The baked for saying that. I butchered that, I know. So just kind of give me it all in like one verse. Give me like an audio recording of you busting that out in one verse. And I'll just play it. Okay, Shadow X Acno threw another 10. Thank you. When the completed chapters drop for Dark Deception, will there be some changes to the option settings and the replay menu, and or where we can play the 11th and 12th portal to S rank? Oh yeah, so I'm sure some of you have noticed that currently Dark Deception in its current release with the 4 chapters shows only 10 portraits for replay mode. So obviously that's changing. We've already changed that in our build. We just haven't released it to the public. There will be 12. So you'll see 12 replayable maps there when you beat the game, if you get the true ending. Yoshi threw in another 10 Hong Kong. Thank you. How does Mama Bear's hell maintain without a ring? Oh, well, as far as that world goes, it's not the ring's power that creates these worlds. They are simply guarding the ring pieces for Malik, so they don't necessarily have a ring. And that will also be kind of emphasized in the Dark Deception sequel as well. Remember, the Shattered Ring arc is the first game. The ring no longer really plays a role as much in the sequel. Let's see. Argo4 threw in £5. Thank you, Argo. What will the stage names be for the upcoming DLCs for Monsters and Mortals? What will Cory's class be? Power, balanced, etc. As far as the upcoming stage names, I can't remember if we've named those yet. We haven't finalized the names for them. Actually, I think we did for Poppy Playtime. We're just calling it Poppy Playtime because I think that's what the Poppy Playtime team wanted. So nothing special on that. Um, as far as House of Ashes, I have it written somewhere. I have to look back and see what was approved. And then Yandere Simulator, I think I've already said that one. It was Academy. What was it called? It's like Academy Assault, I believe. I have to kind of refresh my memory on that one. But as far as Cory's class, if I remember correctly, we have him as a balanced character or speed. I have to look. I believe he's speed or balanced. Joyjoy Lucky threw in another £2. Thank you, Joyjoy. Is Dan still gonna come to Eminem? Will he be support? Daniel's gonna get his day someday, but we got to get through the current stuff first, and he's fine with that. So yeah, Dan Dabrowski will get a character at some point. He's got to get one. He's the music man. Adam Azur threw in 2. Again, thank you. Will Bierce or Malik show any holiday cheer? Fake. I think you mean for holiday horror. Well, Bierce more than Malik, I think. Just going by the current script, I would say Bierce a little bit, Malik no. And another question from Adam Azur. Last, is Puppet King flesh or is he a puppet too? Well, you can tell by his image that Puppet King is also a mannequin. He's a puppet. Okay, we got another one from Unicat, but her it's deteriorating fast. I can no longer read this. It says, "Hi, my name is Vince Dingles, and I made a game called Dark Dink Dinkisession. I'm struggling here, as well as Montis and Manters with my company, Gilbo Inner Trent. Please don't call me Vings Dingles, although I like the sound of that. Vings Dingles. Makes me think of Gremlins. Dingle Dingle with Mrs. Dingle. Thank you for the other 5. Shadow X Acno threw in another 10. Does S ranking the replay level unlock the true ending, or do you have to get the true ending legitimately through the story mode? Well, you have to unlock the true ending legitimately through story mode. Is that okay? Well, 1 second. We've got a donation from Yumi Chan with 1 Canadian, and that's just a donation. It's also her first super chat. So thank you very much, Yumi Chan. And another one from SharkFan2, another £5. Thank you again. Will Dark Deception on consoles have rumble support, i.e. the controller will vibrate when the monkeys are close? Yeah, rumble support is something we're adding into the various platforms that support that. So that's it for Super Chats for now. Wow, we got through that in only... Oh, it's less than 2 hours. Okay, we're at like 1 hour and 43 minutes so far, but that's the fastest we've ever gotten through Super Chats out of the last 3. So now I'm going to go to our mail-in email questions. And then I'll check back Super Chats one last time, and that'll be a wrap for episode 23. So to kick things off, and these are the questions that people sent to our contact at glowstickentertainment.com, and they're just chosen randomly. So if your question wasn't selected, don't worry, just kind of try again next time. You'll get it eventually. So question 1 is from Joshua. How tall is the Puppet King? How many enemies are in Prison Panic? I can't really say how tall Puppet King is. He's just one of the taller characters, kind of comparable to the Joyjoy Gang and Mama Bear. How many enemies are in Prison Panic? I can't really reveal that. I mean, you can count them up. You've already seen Red Stalkers and you've seen Puppet King, so for the moment you can say 2. Robin, or question number 2 from Robin. Since you currently live in Taiwan, oh, okay, well, this one's actually a real world question. Says, since you currently live in Taiwan, have you ever been worried about a possible Chinese invasion, considering what's been going on in Ukraine and all? By the way, stay safe. Um, well, usually, I, that's like the first time I've ever gotten like a real world question like that, but that's an interesting one given our situation. Um, I mean, it does play a role. I really don't talk about politics just because I don't really like politics, and I feel like it just divides people and gives them a reason to hate each other. So I don't ever talk about anything political. But since we are working out of Taiwan, that is kind of a reality. So if there was any kind of worse situation in Taiwan, and I hope there never is, but you know, just doesn't seem to be the way the world's going. Um, we would probably, assuming that we can get off the island, we would probably have to relocate to somewhere safer, which is what a lot of our friends who were developers in Ukraine have had to do. They've had to completely relocate to other countries. Some have gone to Poland, some have relocated to European countries, but it did uproot them and cause them to not be able to work. So if for some reason Taiwan was ever attacked, I would have to relocate, and probably all work would stop during that situation until we were all fully relocated. So it would put a delay on development of Dark Deception and any other game that we were doing. So yeah, I hope we all stay safe and nothing bad happens. But I don't make the world's decisions for them. Let's see. Question number 3, Victor. Will Chapter 5 of Dark Deception have several Easter eggs? Yes, it will. And look forward to seeing if you can find them all. Question number 4 from Krzysztof. Can you still say more about your new survival horror game that you will work on after Dark Deception? Oh, okay. That was related to a Twitter post I put up. I just said that Dark Deception would probably be the first and last kind of mascot-y horror game that I'd ever work on. And I realize some people um, kind of maybe misinterpreted that to mean I was not going to work on Dark Deception anymore. That's not it at all. Dark Deception will always be around, and it's a series I'm excited to work on and continue for many more years. As long as our fans support it, I'll keep making it. So we will always make a Dark Deception game. There will always be like Dark Deception sequel or Super Dark Deception or Monsters and Mortals, something all related to the Dark Deception franchise. I just meant like after that, I'm not going to go create some other game that's similar to Dark Deception with a bunch of crazed evil mascots running around. Like I'm not going to go create my version of Bendy or Poppy Playtime or FNAF or something like that. I've already done that. I've checked that box. So now I want to do survival horror. That's something I grew up with. I grew up with Resident Evil and Silent Hill and Fatal Frame. Those were the games that made me love horror and want to make horror games. So I feel like I see those teams as the masters that I respect and admire. And I want to try to follow and see if I could create something, you know, worthy to be considered equal to or even in the same discussion as games like that. Just to see if I'm even capable of that type of horror. So that's my next direction that I want to go in. I haven't really, I have ideas for what I want to do, and we have some good ones, but it's not something that I'm writing out or putting into production right now. So that's something that will come after Dark Deception is fully released, and I no longer have Dark Deception on my plate at all, except for the sequel. Um, yeah, it will be M-rated. It will be mature. It will be scary. Like, I'm gonna go full on making something that's super scary. So that'll be fun. I think that'll be refreshing for me, and really that'll kind of clear my mind for the Dark Deception sequel by allowing me to change my creative process and do something different. Because I've been doing Dark Deception for a good 5 years now and longer, so I need a break and do something a different type of horror. Let's see. So yeah, thanks for asking that. And question number 5, Maristella. are you guys, or from Maristella, are you guys planning to do an intro for Monsters and Mortals just like you guys did for Super Dark Deception and Dark Deception? Um, maybe later, maybe after it's more finalized. Um, there's so much to fix in Monsters and Mortals and so much to add to it that I feel like an intro cinematic is the least of what we need to do for that game. But yeah, I think once we have the game and what I would call like a content complete state, then I will embellish it and polish it by adding maybe like a cool intro, something like Super Smash Brothers had. Uh, we'll see. Maybe I'll save it for the next one. Question number 6 from James. Is there a possibility of Dark Deception or Super Dark Deception being hosted on a Nintendo Indie World Showcase when the game is close to release on the Switch or any other live gaming showcase? Yeah, and I think as far as that goes, we'll find out a lot after we release these demos because if they do well and if they get a lot of downloads, I'm sure Nintendo and Sony might want to discuss that with us and see how they could support the game for the full release. So yeah, I would love if Dark Deception or Super Dark Deception hosted on the Nintendo Indie World Showcase, or if Sony wants to put it in their indie feature. That would be awesome. I'm all for that. So yeah, we'll be discussing that with them and seeing if we can make it happen. Question number 7 from Ilya. Will there be a Zardy's Maze DLC for Dark Deception Monsters and Mortals? I've actually gotten that question a couple times in previous um, Q&A videos or Q&A live streams, so I'm not sure if it's the same person keeps asking it or if there's just a lot of Zardy fans asking me the same question. Yeah, I think Zardy could be added to Monsters and Mortals eventually. It definitely, fits and has the right look for Monsters and Mortals, and it would be really cool to run around a corn maze with a scary scarecrow coming after you. So I think there's room for that, and I've already added a niche title like the Coma, which is Coma 2. So I believe it kind of fits into that same category. So it would be eligible to be added. It's just a matter of time and resources available for us to make that kind of stuff because, it takes a lot of time and money to make DLC. We can't do everything. So we really have to be kind of picky about what we put in. I think Zardy's Maze would be worth the effort. So we'll kind of see how it goes in the future once we get Piggy and Nakoma out. Question number 8 from District D. Will you release DLC? Oh, I think he did a super chat of the same question that actually got chosen. So I'll just do it again in case anyone didn't hear it previously. But he's asking, will there be a release with DLC with robots? I said sure. If there's anything with any horror game with interesting robots, I don't really have any that jump out at me. And by robots, I'm saying anything other than animatronics. So something like a Terminator or maybe like an iRobot or what was that Netflix show where the robots kind of take over the future? It's always the apocalypse with robots erasing humanity, something like that. I don't think there's a lot of horror games based on that concept. So if any ever pop up, we could definitely make it happen. Question 9 from Vanya Kikot. Do you want to release a DLC for Dark Deception where we can play as Tammy or Doug's wife? Not right now for Dark Deception. I know we were talking about doing, because we were kind of thinking about like what DLC we could add to Dark Deception after the release to kind of continue supporting the game. And a side story for a character was an idea. It's not necessarily Tammy or Doug's wife, Elise, but it could be one of the other characters that we haven't fully explored, like Bierce or maybe even Malik or something. I don't know. We're still kind of considering our options for that. But in Super Dark Deception, we are going to have a new game plus mode where you can actually play as Tammy throughout the game. So that I think Super Dark Deception is fun because it allows us to easily let you play as any of the characters in Dark Deception. So if you want to be a murder monkey or you want to be a goal watcher, it will unlock their sprites and you can swap Doug in for their sprite and play as those characters. So that would be funny to see you running around as a gold watcher being murdered by other gold watchers. Let's see. Question number 10 from Kairope. After the beauty of the bushes and Academy High School map in Monsters and Mortals, are Deadly Decadence hedge mazes or hedge maze bushes going to be updated as well? No, we're not going to go back and update any of the other levels visually again, like enhanced, enhanced version of Dark Deception. That was a one-time deal, and it's pretty much locked in as it is. So if we do any visual enhancements in the future, it's going to be for a remaster. All right, let me see. Question number 11 from Nikita. How many zones will there be in the last level? They all stick to 3 zones, but the levels are very large. Tata Bear. Question number 12. I have 2 questions for Q&A 23. Does Prison Panic take place in a prison? And is Prison Panic the 10th level? Thank you. Well, yeah, I can answer those pretty easily. So yes, it does take place in a prison, and Prison Panic is the 10th level. Question number 13 from Emoji X. My 2 small questions are, does the Puppet King have a throne room, since he's a king? And does the Puppet King have a weapon such as a sword? No, I mean, the whole mall is kind of his throne. And as far as a weapon goes, using a sword, no, he doesn't use a sword. He uses something else that you'll see when Chapter 5 comes out. Remember, he's kind of like a puppet master. So that is it for our email questions. So I'm going to do one last check with the super chats. And then we will call it, well, for me, I'll call it a night. The rest of you will continue on with your day. So let me see where I left off. Oh, we do have some new ones. Okay. So let me wrap this up. Zian Ni threw in another 5. Thank you, Zian. So we can't replay to get S rank for access to the final level. You can replay for, well, you realize the 12th level is the true ending level. You only get access to that if you've unlocked it. So there's only 11 levels that you need to S rank. S ranking the 12th level would be for an achievement or a trophy of something of that nature, like, oh, you got S rank in every level. But it's not really required for the true ending. It's the first 11 levels that are required for the true ending. So that 12th level is the true ending level. So, yeah, you can replay the 11th level. For some reason you didn't get S rank to get S rank, but you will still have to play through that level in the main story mode while having already achieved S rank to unlock the 12th level, if that makes sense. You basically have to have the save status of all those S ranks in order to unlock the 12th level. And it's not just S ranks, there's a other condition as well, which I'm sure some of you can figure out. Let me see. Tabub45 threw in another 2. Thank you, Tabub. Will Darkstar have clones of herself? No. She has something far better. Yumi-chan threw in another 3 Canadian. Thank you. What will the Joyjoy Gang do in Chapter 5? Well, they'll do what they do best, get in your way. So, I won't tell you where you'll see them or at what point they will appear, but the Joyjoy Gang will be in Chapter 5. Actually, I mean, I've already said this previously, but every character will be in Chapter 5. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 2. Puppet King full model reveal when? When I'm done recording his voice and I have some lines. So, we haven't really recorded with Christopher yet. We still have to go through that. So, if you remember, he's the guy that did Jax's voice for Mortal Kombat 11. So, he's pretty awesome. Very, very deep voice. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 10. Thank you. And I think she's going back into rap mode. Has a beaver turned you into a furry Hupme yet after... I don't think this is rap. Yet after you so rudely told my dog you didn't want salami. Because you sure don't look like one. Beaver do job. You can't keep getting away with it. You really should write some rap lyrics. You've got a good imagination for writing crazy bars here. Do it. I know you like making dance videos, but start doing some rap. See, Argo 4 threw in another £5. Thank you. One second. I gotta fix some stuff. It'd be nice. Okay, it'd be nice to have a base game ranged mortal. Dan could be a ranged mortal that attacks with music. As for stage names, how about Playtime Peril? Actually, I think we did do something with the name with Playtime. I have to kind of check because we haven't looked at names for the levels in a while. We're really focused on like building the levels. But I have to kind of refresh my memory. But I think it is something with Playtime in it. I mean, obviously it's an alliteration, so there's only so many P words that it can be combined with. If we didn't go with just Poppy Playtime, but I believe their team said it was just Poppy Playtime. But as far as a based game ranged mortal, yeah, I don't think we currently have one. They're all DLC. One is from Silent Hill, which was Sybil, and then House of Ashes is going to add a few new ones because of Jason and Salim both have ranged weapons. Or I'm sorry, no, Salim has a crowbar. Jason has a rifle. So Jason is the ranged character for the House of Ashes DLC. And trying to think if Yandere Simulator or Poppy Playtime have one. Kissy Missy is also kind of ranged due to her stretchy arms. Let's see. And then I know some people are asking about whether all the mortals have to be mortal because of Kissy Missy. I think that the exception to that only applies to DLC and the fact that sometimes there are no mortals with the associated IP. So we either put in monsters only, which isn't very fun, or we choose something. I mean, primarily our preference is they have to be mortal, but the exception is that they are aligned with good. They're not evil. So for Poppy Playtime, we just used kind of Kissy Missy to fill that gap, and then Poppy Playtime team or Mob Entertainment agreed to it. ShadowX Acno threw in 5. Will Dark Deception 2 be the beginning of survival horror and not mascot or kid friendly? Well, I mean, there's not much to share about Dark Deception 2 at this point, but I will say it evolves the franchise in a different direction. It keeps the foundation of what Dark Deception 1 built with the Shattered Ring arc, but it goes in a much more AAA direction. So even Dark Deception is going to evolve and become more mature. It will not be as kid friendly as Dark Deception was, the first Dark Deception. It will still be teen rated, but it's going to be continue going darker and a larger and much more intense world than Dark Deception 1 had. It's not going to be like a hub that warps you to individual levels. So, I mean, there's nothing I can really share yet, but just know it's going to be familiar, but it'll also be very, very different. Think of it as comparing Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 4's design. Resident Evil 4 took that franchise in a completely different direction and evolved the franchise. I think Dark Deception kind of aspires to do the same thing. Sand Wizard threw in 5. He's back, yo! Thank you for throwing in 5, man. CMS Productions threw in 5 also. Sorry if my last question was weird, but have you considered making Dark Deception Funko action figures? Yeah, we have thought about Funko and tried to reach out to them, but for some reason they just never got in touch with us. So there's nothing I can really do about it. We rolled with U2s and Makeship instead, and now we're about to work with some other toy manufacturers that are not U2s, or not U2s, but not Funko Pop. So, I mean, if Funko Pop ignores us forever, then I think we're still going to be just fine. I mean, honestly, I used to love Funko Pop more than any of them, but now I think there's a lot of vinyl toy figures that are just as good as Funko Pop. It's just Funko Pops are more I guess, mainstream. They're more prevalent or ubiquitous everywhere. So, uh, yeah, I mean, if we ever get one, awesome. If we don't, I won't really cry about it. It's all good. But I know I want to try to give the fans everything they want. And I know some of you have Funko Pop collections, so I really hope eventually we do have one. But really, I guess they don't. They only respond if fans pressure them enough, or they see enough. That maybe if they see it on Google Trends or something, they will reach out. Shark Fan 2 threw in £10. Could the matron canonically turn invisible like the Reaper nurses if she wanted to? Also, did she die in the Torment Therapy boss fight, or did she survive? Well, I mean, technically, the matron could turn invisible like the Reaper nurses if she wanted to, yes. I didn't really utilize that in the boss fight, simply because she only follows the player. So turning her invisible would not have really added anything as far as challenge to that boss fight. I mean, it would have been a cool visual. Maybe we could add it in a future update just to have it in there and kind of address that point that yes, she also has that power. And as far as her dying in Torment Therapy boss fight, um, she was badly wounded, but you'll find out in Chapter 5 if she's actually was destroyed or dead. UBF 13 through in 2, thank you UBF. Will we get more teasers of the mall level soon? I won't say soon, but yes, there will be teasers of the mall level, which will be actual gameplay screenshots, and you'll see what the level finally, actually looks like. I'm not ready to show those yet, but you will see them eventually. Joyjoy Lucky threw in £2 more. Thank you again. When will we get a look at the Poppy map? Well, I put up a poll on Twitter asking which one fans wanted to see first, Monsters and Mortals fans, Poppy Playtime or House of Ashes. And it was overwhelmingly Poppy Playtime, which, I think we all could have kind of expected. So, yeah, I will show a screenshot of the Poppy Playtime map sometime in the near future. It doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately, like this week. I just wanted to kind of feel which one people wanted to see first. And I I already knew that was going to be the answer. I just needed to confirm it. So yeah, that will be happening soon too. At some point, it'll pop up and be a teaser. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. No, not me. Transform to I'm a Mozos Wisla Teehee lols you. Oh no, died. Bye. Keep it awesome, fam. I hope you're having a good day, Unicat. Thank you for the donation. Autumn Azura threw in another 2. Funkin' Deception, is it dead? Funkin' Deception. I think isn't that like a fan mod for Friday Night Funkin'? I think, I have no idea. I don't keep track of that, so you'd probably want to go to the creator and ask them. Yumi Chan threw in 3 Canadian. What relationship does Darkstar and Malik have? Well, I mean, the relationship of all of the monsters in Dark Deception with Malik is that they serve him, either willingly or unwillingly. So, Agatha has a special relationship with Malik, as you've seen throughout the game, and that will be elaborated on more in Chapter 5. But she's very unique simply for the nature of her relationship with Malik. And in many ways, she's simply she's essentially just a bargaining chip for Malik. At her core, she's a chess piece for him to use against his opponent. So they do have a relationship, but at its root, Malik always has an ulterior motive or an agenda or a reason for his interest in things, and it's usually not good. So, yeah, I don't know if Malik's like the perfect dad. A lot of people paint him as. And then, as far as he's a good boss or not, or a good master, or whatever you want to label him as, you'll see more of him in Chapter 5, and you can kind of make your own determination about whether you think it would be better for Doug to follow Malik or Bierce. ShadowX Acno through another 5. Thank you. I was wondering why we didn't see Mama Bear or Agatha on the Blob picture. Will those two play a role in Chapter 5? Well, I mean, that Blob character is not an all encapsulation of who's going to appear in Chapter 5 or not. That was, and I didn't even show like the full creature. I cropped it to a very small segment of that creature. So you guys really haven't seen a lot concerning that particular character. So yeah, I promise you, everyone is going to be in Chapter 5. Alp through another 2001 again. Thank you. How does telepathy work in Super Dark Deception? Oh, that's a good question. So yes, telepathy will still be in Super Dark Deception, but of course, since it's a 2D game, the current setup that we used for Dark Deception in 3D does not work. So it doesn't work on the fly in a fast-moving 2D game. So we had to change it, and it's actually simplified a lot. So basically, how telepathy will work in Super Dark Deception is that it has a set distance, and it will just simply jump Doug from one point to the next point. So it's simply a way for you to get past traps and enemies and jump across gaps, but you will not be able to adjust the distance. So you have to, it's not usable if you, well, it is usable, but it will kind of judge based on the distance. So you can't like jump through walls and stuff. It is not, you're not going to be able to like glitch the level by jumping through walls like you did in Dark Deception for some people. So it is a very dumbed down version of telepathy. Or, oh, you said telepathy. I'm sorry, I misread. I thought you said teleport. It is 3 a.m. here. Please forgive me. So, well, since you said telepathy and I just explained teleport, teleport is kind of simplified. Telepathy is pretty much the same. So it's just going to show you basically markers pointing that tag and follow the characters that are off screen. Since, you know, you can't see in 3D view in front of you anymore, you can only see basically the edge of the screen. It will always kind of notify you with markers where the characters are in relation to you. And if they are on the screen, you'll still be able to see them through walls like an X-ray. And SharkFan 2 threw in £5 again. Thank you. Is there any possibility of reviving the alpha version of Elementary Evil? No, there's no possibility of reviving that other than as a bonus of some kind. And really, probably not, because, you know, Unity and Unreal are not compatible with each other. And that game was built in Unity. So basically, we'd have to take all of those assets and essentially rebuild the game, that alpha version of Elementary Evil, the demo, in Unreal for it to work, which doesn't make sense, and it's just a pain. So probably that thing is stuck as it is, as a Unity demo forever. And we'd be happy to like re-release the demo for free and let people play that old version. And we could always update it into like the modern Unity engine, but that's pretty much how it's going to stay. Just a little piece of time or history of Dark Deception, but it's kind of locked into that state. Zian Nee threw in another 5. Thank you, Zian. Will we see if Darkstar is working for Malik willingly or unwillingly? I mean, you'll see a lot about every character in Chapter 5, including their motivations and their relationship with Malik. So, yeah, that's part of like the deeper character exploration that I have planned for Chapter 5 that's written into the game currently. You'll also see a little bit more about the Chapter 1 through 4 characters as well. Yumi Chan threw in another 3 Canadian. Thank you, Yumi. I have some ideas on some games, but I can't. Well, I mean, if you have some ideas for games that you want to make someday, I mean, don't give up on them. Just tuck them away for now if you can't make them at the moment, and wait for that time when you can. I have hundreds of game ideas that are just written into a book that I don't know if I'll ever get to make them. I mean, I only have so many years to work on games, so I've accepted that I can't make games for all of them. But I'll get to some of them. You just kind of have to treat it that way. Shadow X Acno through in 5. Again, thank you. And Super Dark Deception, how will you maneuver the Gold Watchers since now this is the 2D version and not the 3D version? So the Gold Watchers are going to be much more similar to the Gold Watchers in Monsters and Mortals than Dark Deception. What I mean by that is in 2D, there's no way for us to do the hidden movement with the red light, green light mechanic. So in Dark Deception, we can simply hide their movement when the player looks away from them. In 2D, you can't do that because they're always on the screen. It was kind of the same way in Monsters and Mortals since the Gold Watcher is controlled by another player and they're always moving. There's no way to force them to stop when the other player looks at them. So basically, they can always see the Gold Watcher moving. He just moves in a very funny way. And Super Dark Deception is the same. So you're going to see Twinkle Toes Gold Watcher kind of tiptoeing around really fast while still looking very statuesque. So it's going to have much more in common with Monsters and Mortals than Dark Deception as far as the Gold Watcher's style of movement. And then we've modified and improved the Titan Watcher a bit too, so you'll see it's pretty cool. But that is it for the super chats. Still past 2 hours and 16 minutes, so this was not a short Q&A live stream. And thank you all for the awesome questions and all the super chats and donations. I thank you all for your support. It was cool to have a lot of interesting things to talk about this time. So hopefully next month you all have a really good time with all the demos and we get get Monsters and Mortals launched on Epic and kind of updated on Steam and get however many of the DLCs out that we get out, maybe 1, maybe 2, who knows. We'll see what time allows. And then we'll have a lot more to talk about in Q&A episode 24. So thank you all for tuning in. I think somebody said my mic's a little bit muffled, so thank you for putting up with that if it is that way. I'll listen to it later. And I'll see you all next time. So take care.